I was only 14 when Mom died, and I had to become a mother to my 5-year-old sister, Lily. Our lives were already fragile when Dad brought home Diane Whitmore, a grief counselor who claimed to help. But her interest in Lily felt cold. One night, she forced Lily to burn her teddy bear to heal. That was when I knew something was deeply wrong. Now Diane is in custody. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Before Mom got sick, our house smelled like cinnamon and laughter. Then Diane came warm smile, clinical hugs. She brought chamomile tea and brochures on grief. Speaking softly, always watching, when she took Lily's stuffed bunny to wash it. But it never came back. I felt a sting in my chest. Dad said I was being sensitive. I wanted to believe him. But that night, Lily clutched her blanket like a shield, silent at dinner. The day after Mom's funeral, Diane rearranged the living room. She moved Mom's favorite chair to the garage and put up wind chimes she said were cleansing. I stood frozen, watching Lily search for the chair. It's better this way, Diane said, smiling. Dad just nodded. Eyes hollow, I swallowed the lump in my throat. That night, I wrote everything in my notebook, the sounds, the missing chair, the way Diane smiled when we cried. Diane started locking Lily in her room, calling it quiet time for reflection. She claimed it helped with grief. Lily's eyes dimmed. Emma came over once, saw the bolt on Lily's door, and whispered, "That's not normal." I shrugged, scared of what would happen if we questioned her. Diane watched from the hallway, arms crossed, like she knew we were thinking something we weren't supposed to. She burned Lily's drawings in the fireplace, saying we needed to let go of clinging attachments. I wanted to scream. Instead, I held Lily's hand tighter. Dad told me to stop causing trouble. When I asked where Mom's music box went, Diane said she donated it. Lily cried for hours. I stopped asking questions and started copying everything into my notebook. Every lie, every burn mark, every time Dad looked away. Diane introduced affirmation time. Lily had to chant, "I am whole without Mommy" before dinner, the first time. Lily choked on the words. I clenched my fists under the table. Dad said nothing. I found Emma later, told her everything. She said, "You have to record it." That night, I borrowed her old phone and hid it in the bookshelf. If no one would listen, I'd make them see. Lily stopped speaking. At first, Diane called it a spiritual reset. Then she said it was defiance. She threatened to take Lily away unless we complied with healing. Dad looked at the floor. I whispered stories to Lily at night, reminding her who Mom was. One day, she hugged my waist and mouthed, "Hide me." That's when I knew it was time to act, no matter the cost. One stormy night, Diane sent Dad on an errand and locked Lily in the bathroom. I heard her yelling, "Cleanse your grief." I burst in shaking. Diane turned smug. I grabbed Lily and ran. We slipped through the back gate into the rain, straight to Aunt Sarah's. She wrapped us in towels and called her brother Tom, a lawyer. When Diane knocked on the door, Tom answered. Calmly, he told her to leave or face charges. Tom helped me go through my notebook. Matching incidents to state laws, we found patterns: emotional abuse, coercion. Then we opened Mom's journal, stored in Aunt Sarah's attic. Mom had written about Diane, calling her obsessively helpful. One entry said Diane cried when Mom mentioned updating her life insurance. My hands shook. Tom's voice hardened. "We have enough to open a case." For the first time in months, I felt like someone believed me. Emma helped me upload the phone recordings. In one, Dan says, "You're not her mother, I am now." Another captures Lily sobbing. We sent everything to KSBS. Tom brought in Martha Green, a retired nurse who's once worked with Diane. She listened, pale. I remember, there were whispers about a woman like her. That night, I saw Dad crying alone in his car. Diane had poisoned all of us, but I was done being silent. Tom contacted the police with our files. They launched an inquiry. Meanwhile, Diane arrived at school, asking to pick up Lily. The office called Aunt Sarah instead. Diane fled when officers approached. Hours later, she was found in her car with a suitcase, fake kids, and Lily's old blanket. That image, her clutching Lily's blanket like a trophy, burned into me. But she didn't win. That night, Lily whispered her first words in weeks. "We're safe now." After the arrest, I thought it was over. But Martha called, voice trembling. I found files. Diane worked with another hospice years ago. 2 sudden deaths. Tom looked up records. Both victims were women in grief with small children. Emma dug into old blogs, found a post from a teen girl. The counselor said Mom was too sad to stay. Different city. Same tactics. Diane hadn't just targeted us, she'd done this before. We weren't alone. We created a blog with timelines, names, journal pages. Emma coded it overnight. By morning, 2 emails came in, families from Utah and Michigan, both describing Diane under different names. One called her Lana, another had a photo, same eyes, same smirk. I couldn't breathe. She's moved from state to state, preying on broken families. Each time, grief gave her cover. But now, we had her pattern. Her face, her lies laid bare. Finally exposed. The police connected Diane to 6 aliases. 3 states filed charges. News crews showed up at Aunt Sarah's house. I stayed off camera, but Lily waved. "Tell them Mommy loved us," she whispered. One reporter asked to interview me. I agreed only if they printed Mom's name. The next morning, headlines read, "Teen exposes serial grief predator." Diane's face was everywhere. Her trial was set, but my focus was on Lily. We were rebuilding together. Diane's ex-husband contacted us. He'd seen the news and confirmed she'd tried to adopt his niece without consent after a funeral. She'd been charming until he said no. Then she vanished. His affidavit helped build the federal case. It made me wonder, how many near misses had she orchestrated? Lily drew a picture of our family, this time with a tree and sunshine. No Diane, no sadness, just us. We were moving toward something whole again. Emma's mother finally apologized. "I believed Diane because she was so calm," she said, crying. Turns out Diane had offered her parenting help after her husband passed. Emma admitted she once saw Diane take a picture of Lily without asking. I thought it was weird. People started coming forward, church members, a librarian. Even Lily's preschool teacher remembered Diane asking odd questions. One by one, silence cracked. We weren't paranoid. We were right. Patricia, Deb's sister, found out and called Aunt Sarah. She hadn't spoken to us in years, but said, "I knew something felt wrong that night I met Diane." She flew out the next day, had dinner. Lily held her hand tightly. Patricia gave me an envelope, photos of Mom, letters from when they were teens. "She wouldn't want you to carry this alone," she said. For once, I felt like part of a real family again. One night, Emma and I found a forum post from years ago. The user wrote about a counselor who said mourning made children weak. She signed off, "I wish I'd trusted my daughter." It was dated 2 days before the woman's suicide. My hands trembled. Emma whispered, "This is bigger than Diane." We added it to the blog. A storm of comments followed. More victims, more families. Diane hadn't just hurt us. She haunted dozens. A nonprofit reached out, Children's Resilience Fund. They wanted to partner with us to share our story and warn others. Emma and I helped build an awareness site. Lily's drawings became part of the homepage. She's more than a victim, I told them. We printed shirts, believe kids, trust patterns. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about light. Diane's web was unraveling, and in the threads, we wove something fierce, something that could not be undone. We got a message from a social worker in Arizona. She'd just read our blog. I met Diane, she wrote. She came in for a volunteer interview last week. The worker stalled her, made copies of her id, and called authorities. Dan had tried again, but this time someone listened. We cried reading the message. Lily whispered, she didn't get another girl. I shook my head. No, she didn't. You stopped her, Lily, you did. Sarah and I spoke to a local support group. I read from Mom's journal. The room was silent. A woman with gray hair stood and said, that was me once. I didn't speak up. Afterwards, she hugged Lily. You're brave, she whispered. I looked around and saw what Dan had feared: connection, women sharing stories. Kids safe in laps, I whispered. She can't erase us anymore. And just like that, the silence became strength. Tom received a letter from Diane's former coworker. She targeted grieving families. It read. The coworker listed 4 other cases she suspected but had no proof. The letter ended with, I was too scared to act then. Thank you for your courage. We published it anonymously. It went viral. Survivors commented she did this to us too. Each word added to our case, but more importantly, it added to our armor. Truth became our shield. A documentary team reached out. They wanted to feature our story in a series on predatory grief exploitation. I hesitated, but Lily looked at me and said, will it help other kids? That settled it. Cameras came, Emma helped with the visuals, Patricia told stories about Mom. We weren't just fighting Diane anymore. We were building something real: awareness, protection, voice. I want them to know she didn't win, I told the producer. She never will. In court, Diane refused to look at me, but I looked straight at her. I read from my notebook each burn, each lie, each silence. The courtroom held its breath. The judge nodded when I finished. Outside, strangers hugged me. You gave us language, one woman said. Lily squeezed my hand. Mom would be proud. I didn't cry. I stood tall. Dan had tried to erase my mother, my sister, me, but we'd become unaccessible. During the trial, a surprise witness emerged, a hospice volunteer from Diane's first job. She described Diane's obsession with resetting grieving families. Her words matched ours. The jury looked shaken in the gallery. I saw one of the moms who's emailed us. She held a photo of her daughter. She almost got her, she whispered. That night, Lily fell asleep with both arms around her new teddy bear. No one would ever take her piece again. When the verdict came guilty on all counts, I didn't cheer. I exhaled. Outside the courthouse, the wind picked up. Emma held up her phone, filming Lily and me under the tree where we first found Mom's journal. What do you want people to remember, she asked. I said, that kids see everything, we feel everything, believe us. Lily added, don't let them in your house if they don't bring love. That became our blog's tagline. Months later, at a school assembly on safety and trust, I was invited to speak. I brought Lily with me. She held up a drawing, our family, standing under a big heart. She didn't win, Lily said into the mic. The room erupted in applause. Teachers cried. A boy raised his hand and said, my uncle scares me. And just like that, another story began, one we could help change. Our pain turned into protection for others. I sat under the old tree with Lily, flipping through Mom's journal. The pages were soft now, worn from use. She wrote like she knew we'd need it. I told Lily, we planted lavender nearby Mom's favorite. That scent now meant resilience. Emma joined us with her laptop. We hit 10,000 shares. She said. I smiled. Then 10,000 people saw us, heard us. Lily whispered, we made it. For the first time, I believed her. Aunt Sarah framed one of Lily's drawings as smiling, holding hands. It hung above the fireplace, next to a photo of Mom. Tom said, you built a legacy, Nellie. I looked at my notebook. Its pages full. I just told the truth, I said. But truth had power. It had brought justice, safety, and a second chance. Lily asked if she could start her own notebook to help other kids, she said. And just like that, it began. I visited Mom's grave alone. I brought Lily's in my notebook. You saved us, I whispered, tracing her name. I read aloud the names of the families we helped. They're safe because of you. A breeze rustled the trees. I imagined her listening. I left the last page of my notebook blank. Not for silence, but for what's next. Our story wasn't over. It was growing louder, stronger, and full of light. This was just the beginning. Diane was sentenced to life without parole. Her mask shattered. In court, families held hands. Her consequences were legal but also eternal. She would never blend in again, Aunt Patricia said, this time just a second. Lily watched the verdict, holding my hand tight. We didn't cheer, we breathed. That breath carried years of fear away. Mom's photo sat in my pocket. She was with us in truth, in fight. In healing. Diane's story ended. Ours kept going. Lily started school again. Her teacher said she smiled more than anyone. Emma and I visited a family in Michigan, helping them start a blog. Tom launched a legal toolkit for survivors. Aunt Sarah opened a grief group. We weren't just recovering, we were reshaping the world. One safety net, one warning, one truth at a time. I whispered to Lily at bedtime. She didn't win? Lily replied nope, but we did, and she was right. We planted a garden where Mom's chair once stood, lavender. Daisy's a tiny cherry tree. Lily named it Hope. Emma made a sign for every silence broken. Every flower bloomed under a sun Diane could never dim. We hosted the first Safe Families Day. Kids laughed, parents hugged, and in that backyard, we felt whole. Diane's shadow was gone. We built light in its place. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was ours. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.